Hey, babe, so I'm going to take you up to America's oldest state park. What do you think about that?
It sounds like it's pretty old. Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to take you up to a waterfall that over 700,000 gallons of water per second pour over this fall.
That is a whole lot of water.
Where are we taking everybody to?
We're going to Niagara Falls.
Put your seatbelts on.
Here we go.
Did you know that 46 million Americans plan to take an RV trip in the next 12 months? 90% of recreational vehicle owners take 3 or more mini vacations every year. Welcome to the RV Destinations Podcast. If it's RV travel, we're talking about it. From campgrounds to museums to national and state parks, kayaking and hiking opportunities. One of the most fun and pleasurable things you can do is just hit the road. So be ready to be inspired. Welcome in to the RV Destinations Podcast. Now your host, President Randy Beheimer and Editor-in-Chief, Caly Beheimer.
Hello and welcome to the RV Destinations Podcast. This is the podcast series where we talk everything about RV destinations all across the United States and Canada. I am Caly Beheimer, Editor-in-Chief of RV Destinations Magazine, and I am here with the one, the only, Randy Beheimer.
I'm here.
You're here.
I'm here.
You're actually there.
I feel like it's been a long time since we've recorded a podcast.
It has been. Well, we were at Happy Acres Campground, and we did a big podcast there with Patrick and Patty. Yeah.
How did I forget that?
How did you forget? Don't tell Patrick and Patty that you forgot.
Well, he's pretty religious about listening to our podcast.
I know.
So.
I'm so sorry, Patrick. I remembered, so you can be angry at Randy.
Yeah,
not
so
me.
we actually had Travels with Delaney on the show, and we did a big podcast at Happy Acres Campground up in Angola, Indiana, right?
Angola. I like how you say Angola.
Yep, and it was a lot of fun. But today we've got a special guest on.
We do have a special guest.
Do you want to introduce her?
How about you introduce Casey?
Okay.
Because you've talked to Casey more than I have.
Okay. Well, today we got on the show all the way from where are you at, Casey?
Today I am sitting outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay,
Nice.
so right outside of
Not too far
Nashville.
from
Okay,
us.
so Casey Kilgore is one of our writers, but also she has joined the gang and going to be helping us out with some different things at the magazine. So we're really
Yes.
excited to have her on board, and welcome to the show. This is your first time on the show. This is your first top 10 that you wrote for us, and so we're really excited.
So the pressure's on. Like, it's on.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Well,
Okay, I'm super excited.
yeah. So this is a really fun place to talk about, and you know the funny thing is, Caly's never been.
I
So
have never been.
Caly's never been.
I know.
After today, you'll need to go.
I will. Because Randy keeps telling me, hey, babe, we need to go up there. And then 40 other trips happen. Just it's right along the lines of this cattle drive that I have been asking this man over here to take me on since we've been together 12 years. Do you think it's happened? No, it's not. Exactly.
You got a sad story there.
It is a sad,
very
sad story. I wake up
This
in the morning.
is your year.
This is my year. That's right.
This is it.
It's going to happen.
She only, like every single podcast we've recorded the entire year, she's wanted to go to. So, yeah. I mean, we just don't have enough
The list
time.
is growing.
Right,
It
exactly.
is so insanely growing. Yes.
So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about Niagara Falls.
That's right.
Which is both on the Canuck side and the U.S. side.
And we did learn from a Canadian that Canuck is okay. It's
Yep,
not a derogatory,
it's not derogatory. Yeah, so
We've got a couple of Canadian writers for
right.
the magazine.
So please don't cringe if you're not Canadian going, ooh, you shouldn't say that. Nope. They all said it was okay. It's a friendly term.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit. So how long ago did you visit Niagara Falls?
So we've been to Niagara Falls a couple of times, and it's interesting because we have visited all 48 states of the lower states, as well as 4 Canadian provinces. And so the question that my children get asked the most is, what's your favorite place that you visited? And Niagara Falls always makes the top handful of places that my kids say.
That's really cool.
That's cool.
The most recent time we were there was last fall, September-ish.
Okay.
It was Labor Day weekend, actually. It was Labor Day weekend that we spent there on the Canadian side.
Now, what are they? I know we're going to dive into the top 10 and talk about a lot of different things, but what's one of their favorite things to do there as a kid?
Yeah, it's interesting because, and that's one of the things we'll dive into. So that for us, the American side, we've done both sides. The American side and the Canadian side have two completely different feels to them. I think, though, bottom line, just the sheer power of the water and the falls and being that close and witnessing them is just unforgettable. And so that's the girls always like going there.
It's kind of like, to me, it's a smaller scale of like seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time. You know, when you see the Grand Canyon, you get that like breath taken away, like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. The Niagara Falls is very similar to that, I think, when I saw it. And I saw it as a kid and then one time as a young adult, I guess. So I've been there twice, but not as a adult, like driving my own vehicle.
No, but I would totally agree. It's one of those places in our country and in North America that just, the wow factor is through the roof. You just don't forget it.
Yep, for sure.
Well, maybe one day, Randy, one day, I too will get to experience the magnitude of Niagara Falls.
You
Maybe.
play your cards right, and I'll take you up there.
Ooh, promises.
2027.
22. It's going to be like 2037 is what I really meant.
Yeah. All right.
Well, you can just hop in with us next time.
Perfect.
There we go.
I will.
So, do we want to jump into some fun facts?
Yeah, let's. Yes, there's got to be so many fun facts about the Niagara Falls.
Now, the sad thing is, I didn't read hardly any of these before I pulled them up. So, hopefully, these are good. These are coming from NiagaraFallsUSA.com.
Okay.
So, in the very first one is 3 falls are better than one. The fact that we refer to the falls collectively as Niagara Falls leads many to believe that we're talking about one giant waterfall, when in fact, there are 3. The aptly named American Falls are on the U.S. side, and the Lacey Bridal Veil Falls, the Horseshoe Falls, are almost entirely on the Canadian side.
Wow.
All 3 waterfalls can be experienced on the U.S. side of the falls.
Interesting. I honestly did not know that. I thought it was one gigantic waterfall.
Well, apparently a lot of people think that. That's why they put that as number one.
Well, I feel better that I'm not
Very
alone.
interesting fact.
Yeah.
So I did know there was 3 different falls there, but I did not realize they named them differently. It's been a long time since I've been there, but the Bridal Falls, Bridal Veils Falls, that sounds familiar. So maybe I did read that as a young
That's the one
lad.
you hear a lot about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, the falls are young, geologically speaking. Niagara Falls was formed from the same glacial melt activity that formed the Great Lakes at the end of the last ice age, some 12,000 years ago. That may seem like eons to us, but it's just a blink of the eye in the grander scheme.
Ooh. Wait.
No comments?
No comment. Just blink.
All right.
I blinked my eyes.
Yeah, so 12,000 years ago, I think there was humans there.
There were humans
here on
there.
Earth. So there were hunter-gatherers 12,000 years ago. So maybe they got to watch the falls.
They hunted and gathered and maybe watched a few.
I personally cannot imagine walking up on those falls.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No kidding. Like, I don't think we're going to cross here.
Well, back in the 80s.
Hey guys, I think we need to turn around.
Yeah.
Right. Well, back in the 80s, they had all those people getting in barrels and trying to go over them.
I know,
Remember that back in the
yes.
80s? Casey, you're probably too young to remember that, but that was a thing back in the 80s.
Well, there was the guy, too, that did the tightrope walk.
Okay.
I don't know if tightrope is the right
yeah.
phrase, but, people do some really crazy things.
Yes, they
all
do.
for a thrill. I don't know. Actually, most people that went over in the barrel, most of them died.
Yeah.
I mean, not many. I think there was like 1 or 2 that survived.
I mean, I have never been there, but I see these pictures, and all I want to say is, well, you get what you deserve.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like, come on, folks.
That's exactly right. So number 3, speaking of the past, Niagara Falls is America's oldest state park. I didn't know this.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. We have a passionate group of environmentalists to thank for what is today Niagara Falls State Park. Troubled by the commercial activity occurring on the river, these saviors encouraged New York State to buy up the land surrounding the falls to keep it safe from exploitation. As a result, in 1885, the park was established as Niagara Reservation. Excuse me.
That's
I was gonna
interesting.
say reserve.
Yeah.
That historical part, there's actually probably one of the best historical video type things that I've seen done at a national park is the history video that they do on the American side in the park. And they tell you all about the different power and how they harness the power in the falls and the electricity and all of the history. And it's very interesting. Very well done.
Yeah, very cool. Very
Nice.
cool. And I've got a little scratchy vocals this morning. I woke up and just a lot of allergies. And, yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I've got a lot. I have been sneezing like crazy. There must be. We live in the Ohio Valley, folks, and we were recently up in Michigan, which was along the water there, Lake Michigan, and then came back home. And since we've been back home, I have been itchy, eye, sneezy, runny nose mess. So there's definitely something just in this valley. So I'm over here too going,
Well, my throat's hurting, so I'm drinking a lot. So hopefully that's not annoying to anybody. But anyway, so it's not the tallest waterfall in America, but how big is Niagara Falls?
I don't know. How big is it?
Niagara Falls' vertical height is over 176 feet in some section. That's nothing to scoff at, but it pales in comparison to the continental United States' tallest waterfall, Yosemite Falls, which tops out at 2,425 feet.
What? Yosemite Falls is that high?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I had no idea.
But what it lacks in vertical size, Niagara Falls makes up for it in horizontal size and in volume. More than 700,000 gallons of water per second pour over Niagara Falls, rushing at about 25 miles an hour over the falls.
25, how many miles an hour?
25 miles an hour. The water is falling over at 25 miles an hour.
Okay, I feel like it would fall
It's amazing.
faster than 25 miles an hour.
That makes Niagara Falls the largest in North America by volume and by width. So not the tallest, but by volume and by the width. The
That
largest.
is really fascinating.
Yep, that's a lot of water.
It is.
Lake Superior, Michigan, Huron, and Erie drain into the mighty Niagara River before emptying into Lake Ontario. Put the 5 Great Lakes together and you'll get the world's largest freshwater system, all that flowing over. It's pretty powerful stuff. Back in 1885, Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse created the world's first hydroelectrical power plant in Niagara Falls. These days, the falls are capable of generating 4 million kilowatts of electricity, which is enough to supply more than a quarter of all the power used in New York State and in Ontario, Canada.
Wow. That's incredible.
A lot of energy.
That's a lot of energy.
25 miles an hour, 700,000 gallons.
I know. To me, 25 miles an hour, it's fast for water, but I guess I was expecting faster.
But 700,000 gallons
moving
a second
20, okay, a
going
second.
over a second
Like
going
25
over.
okay, there's
at
a
25
lot of
miles
Yeah,
an hour.
but see, if you would take her there, then she could see for herself exactly the volume.
Thank you, Casey.
Okay.
Then I would understand, because right now I'm just like, that sounds slow to me.
All right, so let me put this in perspective for you. I just came up with an analogy. This could be very poor, but I think it's going to.
Okay.
Imagine
Yes.
700,000 cars hitting you at 25 miles an hour. There you go.
That is a horrible analogy.
Well, no.
Okay, but I get
That
your
does
point.
feel really dramatic.
Right. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to survive. I think that's the gist of the story.
Yeah, well, you're like, it's only 25 miles an hour. Well, yeah, the 25 miles an hour.
Okay, point taken. Point
All right.
taken.
Anyway, moving along.
Moving along.
No
Oh,
wonder so
nice.
many. No wonder so many people visit. Okay, quick
Yeah,
crickets, go away. No wonder so many people visit. More than 8 million visitors explore Niagara Falls State Park annually,
Wow.
coming from all over the world. Number 8, which gives some people crazy ideas. The first person to go over Niagara Falls was in a barrel. Was 63-year-old school teacher Annie Edison Taylor.
Come on, Annie.
She suffered only
Why?
a concussion.
Right.
Well, she only suffered a
Okay.
concussion and a minor cut on her head. At least a dozen people have survived the plunge. Numerous others have lost their life. By the way, stunning at Niagara Falls is illegal and includes a hefty fine and possible jail time. So don't do it.
Don't do
Don't
it.
take your RV
Don't
over
do
the
it.
falls.
Do not do it, because it will sink
Yeah, exactly.
quickly to the bottom. It's not going to bop
Bad
back
idea.
up. Right. It's not like the movies.
I don't know. But anyway, number 9. So 2 more left.
Okay.
Fish, however, fare better than people. Yes, fish
Yeah.
do plunge over the falls, and it's estimated that almost all of them survive thanks to the ability to flow with the water. Sometimes, however, they are a bit stunned after making the journey. But those who escape the circling seagulls shake it off and swim away.
They're probably like smack.
Well, think about that. They get
I
stunned,
know.
and the seagull comes
And
in.
the seagulls are like, this
has
is
dinner.
great. Free pickings.
They should put grizzly bears down there and just have them pick them up.
Right.
But anyway, so 10 is going. The falls were originally located 7 miles downriver near what is now Lewiston. The brink has slowly eroded to its current location. Niagara Falls' current erosion rate is approximately 1 foot per year. That's incredible.
Jeez, wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
So the erosion rate is 1 foot per year and could possibly be reduced to 1 foot per 10 years due to the flow control and diversion for hydropower generation. So basically, they're going to slow it down because they're diverting the water for the power. Eventually, though, likely tens of thousands of years from now, they'll disappear into Lake Erie.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so that's everything. That's our 10 fun facts of Niagara Falls. Very, very interesting stuff.
Yes. We have been using SnapPads on our Class A motorhome for years and absolutely love them. They're a stabilizer pad that goes on the bottom of our leveling jacks to really provide a good solid surface for our RV to sit on. But what a lot of folks don't know is that SnapPad also offers Snap Jacks, which are specifically designed for scissor jack stabilizers that are found on fifth wheels, travel trailers, or really any towable with scissor jacks. They come in either a 2-pack or 4-pack combination and include all of the hardware and accessories you need for an easy installation. Get out to RVSnapPad.com. Get your own set of Snapjacks for your RV today. Use the code RVD10, RVD10 to save 10% off of any of the SnapPad products.
And are you ready to take a barrel over?
Absolutely not.
Casey, are you with me?
No, I'm not going with you. Thank you.
I think Casey's busy that day with me.
Maybe we can get Gwendolyn to do it. We'll ask Gwendolyn.
You ask Gwendolyn. She'd probably say, yeah, sure.
Gwendolyn did have a bicycle helmet last time she was on the show.
She did.
You just tell her we volunteered her to try it.
That's
I'll be
right.
behind her.
I'll let her know next time we have her on the show. Okay, so you want to jump in?
Yeah. So let's start at number 10, which is something that I'm going to talk about because I love this, which is visit a winery. So I thought it was really interesting looking into this. There are actually quite a few wineries, more so on the Canadian side than there are on the U.S. side. But there are a couple on the U.S. side. One of them is the Bella Rose Vineyard and Winery, which actually is not too far from Niagara Falls itself. It's only about like 15, 20 minutes away. But then on the Canadian side, like if you were a wino, I'm assuming we're going to talk about this. You need your passport to cross over. So don't forget it. And if you're a wino, take that passport with you because there's upwards of 15 to 20 different wineries and vineyards all kind of clustered together on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. So if you are a wino like me, this is a great opportunity to not only see the falls, but then go over and try something a little different like a vineyard, which I just thought was so cool because in my head, I never really pictured that. I just thought like the falls and that's it. Like there's nothing else. So that's very cool.
And actually, I'm seeing right here, this got 5 stars out of all the rates. And it's a tour. You could do a wine tour of Niagara Falls on both sides.
Oh, perfect.
And it says cannabis too, if you're into that.
If you're into cannabis, right.
But yeah, there's quite a few different sellers. I'm looking at them all here quite a bit.
Quite a few. And these are all have been highly rated, like 4.5 stars and higher, with hundreds and hundreds of reviews. So these sound like some really good wineries.
Now, we talked offline. You said you did not get to visit in the wineries, right, Casey?
We did not. We did not. We did some of the other restaurant food scene things. But
okay. Which actually takes us to number 9.
Beautifully to number 9.
Way to lead us in.
I know. Good job, Casey. Which is the food scene. So, and you hit up most of the food scene in the town of Niagara Falls itself. Is that right? One of the last times you went there?
Well, when you're over on the Canadian side in Ontario, it's everything is very walkable, which makes it a really fun experience just to kind of sit down for the weekend or for the time that you're there and walk. So we did a great little pizza restaurant while we were there. And again, it was all things that were either walkable or on the bus route, which we're going to talk more about the bus route as well. And so it just makes it ice cream. We walked to ice cream in the afternoon. There's just all kinds of any kind of food you'd like is all very accessible right there, which makes for a really fun trip and a fun weekend, especially if you're with a group.
Oh, very cool. Yes. We are big foodies and always love and enjoy going into new towns and trying new things. And that's what I think is so cool that I think a lot of people kind of forget or look over. in the United States alone, there is such a diverse array of different types of foods in different states and even within just different cities within different states. So it's like, go out there, step away from Applebee's. Like if you want Applebee's, do that when you're at home, but
we kind of have an unwritten rule that we can't go to chain restaurants if we're in a new place.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We have the same rule, same exact rule.
Yeah. Yes. One of the cool things, there was also a rooftop. There's a rooftop restaurant that overlooks the falls. You can sit right there if the weather's nice. You can even do a special dining. I planned a trip for my dad and stepmom, and they actually went up to the very top of a building to an early bird special and looked out over the falls. So I mean, you can go from ice cream, really casual, all the way to a fancy night's dinner.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these restaurants and they've got pictures of the food that they're serving, and some of these are amazing. Tide and Vine Oyster House. Oh my gosh,
oysters! We love oysters.
Wine on Third Bistro and Bar. All these have really good reviews. There's very few of them that do not. So that's one thing you wouldn't think of going to the falls.
Right.
Check out the food scene.
And I don't again, for somebody that has never been there. That never crossed my mind. To me, you go to Niagara Falls, you see the falls. It's sadly kind of like the Grand Canyon, where you're like, oh, wow. Okay, now what? And that.
Well, and in the American side does have more of that feel. The national park, the wonders of but it was so interesting to me how the Canadian side very much is a scene in and of itself, with the hotels, the food, the wineries, the bus system, the different attractions. It's just, so I often tell people you need to go to both sides. You need to have enough time to do both to experience the whole thing.
Oh, for sure. And then I was correct, right? You do need your passport. There's no secret passageway that you can get through without a passport.
Well, you can swim across.
Absolutely ask for it.
You can swim across, but they might catch you.
Yeah, they might get you.
But I remember number 8 vaguely when I was a kid, and I'm really excited to talk about this because I've seen some pictures of the lighting of Niagara Falls at night, and they are stunning. Tell us a little bit about this, Casey.
Amazing. So every night during this summer, I think it probably runs, I don't know the exact dates, but it's usually the whole May to October, just because of the weather there. But they light the falls up at night.
Oh, wow.
And you have to wait, obviously, until it gets good and dark. And so if you're a late night person, you're going to need to drink an extra coffee that afternoon. But you go and they have the lights that project from all different places. They light the falls up. It kind of rotates and is different colors, and then they do a fireworks show.
Wow.
And it is just magical for the falls to be, you stand right down on street level on the Canadian side, and you can see the lights and the fireworks, and it is a really cool experience.
And do they do this every night?
In the summer.
Every night.
In the summer.
In the summer.
Wow.
Yeah, in the summer.
So I assume you could see them from both sides. Have you seen them from both sides? Is there a preference which side's better?
I have not. I've only seen them from the Canadian side, and it just is such a, like I said, I may say this 3 more times, there's such a different feel. It feels very much like a national park on the American side. It feels more like, I have likened it to people that are from the Southeast and understand, like Pigeon Forge.
Oh, okay.
I think that's more what the Canadian side feels like to me. It's it's just a complete, there's hotels, and it just is a completely different feel. And so we only saw the lights and the fireworks. We've only seen them from the Canadian side.
Oh, gotcha.
But I do think you can see some of them from the American side. I think it's just a little more spectacular, the view you have from the Canadian side.
Gotcha.
Very cool. Well, that leads us into number 7, which is visiting that Canadian side, but getting a pass and a bus system. So is this kind of like we've gone to New York City and Paris, and we've done like the Paris pass or the New York City pass. So is that something similar that they have there on the Canadian side?
This is very much an attractions pass. And what we found is that I really think this is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So on the Canadian side, there are all kinds of attractions that you can see. And there was definitely savings if you bundled and bought these passes.
Okay.
So it's like a pass. You either pay by the attraction or you pay for the pass.
Okay.
And the pass is kind of a bundle. There's 3 tiers of passes. So you can do the Adventure Pass Classic, the Niagara Falls Pass, or the Adventure Pass Plus. And so we actually did that middle level. And now bear in mind when you're looking on the website and doing your research and looking into this, that everything is in Canadian dollars.
Okay.
So have your Google calculator up. But we did that middle level of the Niagara Falls Pass, and it was a game changer for us as far as access and saving some money. There's 6 of us, so we're always looking at how to do things efficiently and financially savvy, and so that was a big key for us.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And I know I definitely recommend those types of passes and doing research on it, because we did something very similar in New York City and in Paris, and just looked at what did we want to see, what was included in the pass, how many days do we want to do it. And when you plan it out ahead of time, you can save a lot of money. But it's one of those things that I do recommend to people, that if you want to get it, make sure that you actually are visiting the attractions, because you'll end up, essentially not saving money if you're not going and doing all these different things. If you buy the pass and go do 2 things, it's not worthwhile.
Right. So when we were there, we actually had to go and make reservations for all of our attractions. So we bought the pass, and then we had to make reservations. And the part of what made the pass so affordable and so great, in our opinion, was the fact that it included the bus system. They call it the WeGo bus system. And so you literally, for us, it picked us up at our campground. We hopped on that bus, and it took us to all the attractions. You could come, hop on, hop off, and it just made navigation and getting to things really, really easy.
Oh, that's super nice. Yeah, that's super handy. I like that.
Yep. So I definitely recommend that.
For sure. All right, we're already all the way down to number 6 already, and this sounds so cool. The tunnel at the Niagara Parks Power Station. This is huge. Like, you have to go down, right? I mean, you get on an elevator. Is this right?
It's amazing.
Okay.
It's one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen, just because you get a firsthand view of how they have for years. I mean, Renee mentioned that a minute ago, how for years they've harnessed the power of the volume of water and how they've used that. Now, currently, present day, the power station has now moved off site.
Okay.
But this is the one that was used for years and years and years and years, hundreds of years. And so you get kind of access to see that. So you do go in, you ride down in an elevator, and it's interesting because I would recommend to everyone, regardless of the time of year, to take an extra layer because the temperature changed drastically when we got down there because we went so far down. And so you ride all the way down in the elevator and then get off, and it's a glass elevator, so it's where you get to see through some of the levels and layers, and then it's a 2,200 foot long tunnel that ends up in this observation deck. That is just an incredible view of the falls.
Wow. I pulled this up online, and, it's showing the tunnel. Oh, what cool pictures that you can get coming through this tunnel, which is so cool. And then just the ride down the glass elevator. We did a big glass elevator ride at Ruby Falls in Chattanooga. And it was just so cool to see all the layers, and then to realize how much manpower that took to create that, to drill that hole for this elevator to go into. So that's
and
cool.
Then the tunnel that was actually carved out by, just by hand.
Yeah.
And so it shows there are different educational, I think, I would call them storyboards all the way through the tunnel that kind of tells, okay, at this point where you're at, this is the different things. And it's a storyboard all the way through. Just a really cool, to think about it from that perspective, it's a really neat experience.
Now, where does this, because I remember, I think I went to the Cave of the Winds when I was younger. I think that, because that's where you walk out and you're kind of real close to the waterfall.
Yes.
This is out a little bit further, but you're basically at the same level, aren't you, roughly?
This is on the Canadian side. So the power plant's only on the Canadian side. Cave of the Winds is on the American side.
But it's almost
but it's
similar
okay. Yes, a similar experience because you're getting down to the level of the water, and coming out to observe the falls.
Gotcha.
This is probably the closest that you get without getting up in them, like the Cave of the Winds attraction.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't want to steal the thunder for number 1, but I wanted to clarify that in my mind.
Way to go,
okay.
Randy. Yeah. Way to go.
Hey, babe, here at RV Destinations Magazine, we've always been very picky with who we partner with.
Absolutely. Just the best of the best.
Yeah, so this next partner of ours, we could have definitely used about 3 years ago.
Oh my gosh, yes. WeighSafe. So we had this behemoth 38-foot bumper pull travel trailer that was squatting our truck so bad. And then driving it, it was just whipping around in the back, just making for really unsafe driving conditions. WeighSafe has developed this weight distribution hitch. And what it does is it transfers that weight that is being pushed down there at the rear of the vehicle to the front of the vehicle. It's magical, it's mystical, and it's physics. And I think it's amazing.
Yeah, and can't you adjust on the fly as well?
You can. So what's so cool about their product is it has a built-in scale there on the hitch. So you can see immediately those weight ratings and if you need to redistribute anything, and you can make that adjustment there on the fly without disconnecting your travel trailer.
Now, don't they have an app?
They do. The True Tow app. All you do is put in all the information on your rig and trailer, and it actually calculates where the weight should be on the hitch.
So where does everybody find out about this hitch?
So they go out to WeighSafe.com, and their web address is weigh-safe.com. And if you buy one of their hitches and use the code RV Destinations at checkout, you're going to receive a free lock set worth $95.
Yeah, so if you've got a bumper pull, you need to check out this product. Get out there to WeighSafe.com and check them out. All right, so moving on to number 4.
All right. Number 5.
Whoops.
Unless I wrote it wrong. No, but I did not. Because
No, you're right.
I am never wrong.
You're right. It's number 5.
I know. Exactly. I am right. All right. Number 5 is Journey Behind the Falls. And this sounds really cool. And I pulled up the pictures. Countdown. Is this on the Canadian side or the U.S. side?
This is also on the Canadian side. So both of these, the Power Station and the Journey Behind the Falls, I think as well as a couple of the other things, were a part of our pass that we
Okay,
bought. They were
gotcha.
attractions that they were part of our pass. And this is the Canadians kind of paved the winds, but
Okay.
it's not quite as epic because this is basically the same thing. You ride the elevator, you go down, you walk through the little narrow tunnels and get to the viewpoints that are little places where the water is just, but you can't even see. All you see is water because you're behind the falls.
That
and
is
so
so
it's
neat.
a very interesting perspective.
Honey, you got to take me to Niagara Falls.
Okay.
I'm telling you. You keep
Okay.
telling me you're going to take me. It's yet to happen. We're going. Don't
Yep.
just yep me. He's just yepping me over there.
Yep.
Yep. Mhm.
We'll do that right
Yep,
after your
yep,
cattle
yep, yep, yep.
drive, right after the Maldives, right after Australia.
Maldives and
New Zealand.
Australia and New Zealand were not on my list. India is on my list.
India, we'll just throw it all in there.
We'll
That'd
throw
be
it in
fun.
there, Randy. Just chop.
All right.
All
That's right.
That sounds so cool. And number 4 is the Whitewater Walk. Now, is this Canadian or U.S. side?
This is another Canadian
Okay.
attraction. And so this was a part of our pass as well. And the thing that makes this so interesting is, here's the thing about Niagara Falls. You can be way up top and you can look down on the falls and have that perspective. You can be all the way down at the water level and look up on the falls and
Yeah.
have that perspective. You can be behind the falls and have that perspective. It's just such an experience because of all the different ways you get to experience the falls. And the Whitewater Walk is that it's a river walk down right at the water level along the river, a quarter of a mile. And it really feels like more than the water just flows. I would
Yeah.
be curious to know what it's flowing, how many miles per hour it's flowing down there, because it is just right at the river's edge and you're watching the water just race by. It's a very interesting perspective as well.
That's really cool. I had no idea, again, as we're going through this, I had no idea that there were this many different things to do other than just going, woo, the falls. Okay, let's go.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
This is so cool. And seeing
Yes.
it from all these different perspectives, both on the Canadian side and the U.S. side.
Yes, for sure.
And number 3 takes it to a whole different perspective. And this is the Whirlpool Aero Car. And this thing is suspended 200 feet above the Niagara River. That is insane.
Yes.
So you did this?
It really is. Yes, this was our last. And so of all of our that we're talking about today, this will be our last Canadian attraction. But this was one of the things that we lumped into our pass as well. And so we did. You stand on this, they call it a car, but I mean, it's a cable system, but it's almost more like a platform with rails. And they file you in and you stand on it. And it's crazy because it goes across the gorge.
Jeez.
You look down and see the whirlpool where the river kind of comes together and changes direction. And so you can see the water just surging and soaring. And then you actually go in and out. I think you cross borders on the ride. I think it's 4 times that you cross the borders because of the way that everything loops and turns. It's very interesting.
That is so cool. And I'm looking at this. I get what you're saying now of like the platform. It's like a platform with walls, railings, and a roof, but it's all open.
Yes.
And yeah, you just stand on it.
It's interesting. So you go all the way across, and then they try to get you to feel like you're in kindergarten and everybody to just take steps forward until you walk in, like, so that you can see both sides.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was interesting because that took a minute to try to get all of us to shift and walk and circle the platform so that you can see the other side.
Right. I'd be like, you know what? I'm okay right here. I'm good. I don't need to see the other side.
So,
Yeah, what's interesting is they started working on this in 1915.
What?
It went into service
Are you
in
serious?
Yeah, I'm reading the history of it here. And it went into service in 1916. It's been operating since 1916. It got a facelift back in, let's see, what was it, 2023, winter of 2023. They just did a big facelift on it. But 1916.
but it's the original car, I think, if I remember right. The original car platform. Car is a little bit of a deceiving word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That rides
is
on the cables.
nuts.
So it's very interesting.
And
Yeah.
that blows me away. And, you know, forgive me for saying this about the year 1916. I just don't know if I would have trusted something back then.
Exactly.
You know, like,
Right.
hey, I got a great idea. We're going to put some cables across this here river. We're going to strap a car to it. It's going to be great. People are going to pay us.
You got to change your accent because in 1913, Niagara
okay.
Falls Park was approached by a group of Spanish businessmen interested in building a new cable car that would take visitors across the Niagara Whirlpool. So
Well,
can
I don't
you redo
have
that
a
accent?
really good Spanish accent. No, I can do.
But it
like
feels just as precarious as a barrel. I mean, let's be
Right,
honest.
yes, it
I
does.
can imagine.
You know, again, a bunch of like, I got a great idea. I feel like that always happens over a night of drinking.
Yeah, and
Or, hey, Mom, watch.
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture here, and I'm assuming this is probably from the 30s or something, but this looks like something I probably wouldn't get on.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, so much of our safety standards have changed. And back then it was kind of like, oh, well, good luck. Hope you make it to the other side. If not, well, thank you for coming and joining our attraction.
That's awesome. So go get on the Whirlpool Aero Car for
Yes.
number 3.
Number
So
three.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it makes it better or worse because you can stand there, you know, and watch the people. Because in total, it's probably like it's not that long of a ride. You know, they're just going across. So you just stand there and watch the people go. So for some people, that might be assuring. For some people, it might give them time to turn away.
Yeah, no kidding. Like they made it. Yeah, nope. I think I'm going to change my mind anyway.
that's
Yeah.
very cool.
All right. So number 2 is Maid of the Mist.
you gotta do
Oh,
this.
yes. You have to do this. So tell
do.
us about this because you get the ponchos, right? And the ponchos, the different
That's
colors
right.
signify
Yep.
different things.
So on the American side, it's called Maid of the Mist. On the Canadian side, these are called the Niagara City Cruises.
Okay.
And so either way, they have a very similar, I think almost exactly the same route. It's just where you get on the platform if you get on in Canada or in America. And so the American ponchos are blue, the Canadian ponchos are red.
Oh, fun.
And these boats that you get on, you just stand on, you know, big open platforms. Usually they have a couple of levels and they ride you into the falls. I'm not even sure there are words to describe that view of the falls because of how I don't even know, exquisite it is. You can see, you know, the light reflects into the water. And so you see the rainbows like a prism. You see the rainbows in the falls as you get close and you can look up and see little people up at the top. It's an amazing experience, but you do get very, very wet.
Oh, that is so cool, though.
Yeah. Waterproof shoes are a must.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing worse than soggy feet for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's an amazing experience. It's one of those things I think everybody should do once.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That looks so cool. And I'm looking at the pictures and again, it looks so fun. Babe, we're going to have to add this on. I know I keep
Got it.
saying that
It's on
about
the list.
every podcast.
I wrote it in pencil.
Did you not? Oh, you little turd. Writing it in
Yep.
pencil. All right. Well, we're already down to number one. Randy, would you like to talk me in?
Are we really?
We are.
All right.
I know.
Well, give us your best.
You want my best drum roll for number
please.
one. Okay.
Give us your drum roll.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate the applause. The applause.
And the number one thing to do in Niagara Falls is?
The Cave of the Winds. This sounds really cool. So this is a self-guided tour, correct?
It is a self-guided tour.
Okay. And is this
another poncho?
Another poncho and another elevator, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Another poncho, another elevator. So that's the interesting thing about Niagara Falls. Everything happens on the street level, but in order to get some of these experiences, you've got to go down to the bottom of the falls, the water level. And so you do ride an elevator. Again, you want waterproof footwear, and you ride this. And different times of year are going to dictate this experience, obviously. So I've actually done this in the winter, in the late fall, early winter, around Thanksgiving. And you obviously couldn't go as far because of the weather. But in the summertime, typically you can go all the way to what they call the hurricane deck.
Wow.
And it's such an interesting experience. You literally walk into the falls. And it was neat when we were there. The girls were getting all ponchoed up and ready to go. And there was a tour guide that was with another group. And he came over to us and he said, "I'm going to tell you my trick." He said, "When you get to the hurricane deck, turn around, put your back to the falls and back in the far corner. And it'll keep the water out of your face." And so we did that, and we have some really, really cool pictures of all of us as we backed into that back corner with falls behind us.
That's awesome.
That is so cool. That is so
super
cool.
Neat experience.
And I'm looking at pictures of, of different times of years. And do you know guided tours started through the Cave and Winds back in 1841?
Oh, wow.
Isn't that, yeah. And then a rock fall closed that tour, so they had to change it and reopen it.
Some things to note if you're doing this. There is, it is a wooden platform, and stairs that have been built and repaired since, what did you say? You just said 1841?
1841, yeah.
And so there is some precarious footing and places that, where the moss grows over. For people who aren't real steady on their feet, I wouldn't recommend going all the way. But that's the cool part too, is that you can go as far as you feel comfortable. It's one of those things that you can go as far as you feel comfortable. And regardless of how far you do or don't go, the perspective that you get from being at that level and looking at the falls is just different than when you're up top.
Oh, yeah, that's incredible. And then, okay, I'm reading this off of Wikipedia, and it says the decking is removed each fall to prevent any damage by ice buildup at the falls, and then they reinstall it every spring by park officials. Now, here's the crazy part. The decking is not secured to the rocks below by bolts or anything else. It is simply wedged in to the rock crevices.
Nice.
What? That's
one of those facts you probably could go without.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my gosh. And they say tropical storm-like conditions can be experienced with winds that can reach upwards of 68 miles an hour underneath the falls.
Oh, no, I would say that's definitely accurate. Even the noise level. I remember the first time we went, our youngest Caroline was smaller. I'm trying to remember when that was, but she hated how loud it was because it's that much water. You think about if you're in a tropical storm, it's just the noise level. It's really loud, but it's really cool once you see it.
Wow, that is incredible. Yep. I want to see this.
All right, let's do it. Hey, babe, remember that time we were in Key West and the sun was just beating down through the front of our RV and heating up the whole coach? Well, today, one of the sponsors of the podcast is one of our favorite products.
Oh my gosh, yes, the MagneShade. We love our MagneShade so much that we are on MagneShade number 3 that we have purchased for many of our RVs over the years. What the MagneShade does is it attaches with magnets to the outside of your RV windshield and windows to reduce heat that comes into your RV by blocking up to 99% of UV rays.
But one of the cool things also is that it gives you not only privacy, but you can see out from the inside of the coach. You can see out, but nobody can see in.
Exactly. And I love that there were no snaps involved, no hardware involved, no suction cups involved. It's a super easy installation. And in fact, I put the MagneShade up by myself quite often.
Yeah, and we don't need a ladder or anything to put it up.
We don't. It's so easy. And MagneShade offers other products as well.
Now, all of these products are patented and also custom tailored to fit your RV.
They have the MagneScreen awning drop for your awning. They have these beautiful luxury floor mats and runners for the inside of your RV, as well as the easy fold RV tire shades for the outside.
Now, MagneShade's offering our listeners a discount today, aren't they?
They are 5% off. If you use the code RV5 when you call in, and you have to call in to get this special deal, call 336-753-0905. Use the code RV5 to receive 5% off. Be sure to get out there to MagneShade.com today for shopping and more information.
So let's talk about getting around. So it sounded like you said this earlier that on the Canadian side everything's kind of walkable, and then what I remember from the U.S. side, it's pretty much walkable. You can walk pretty much through the state park and all that and see all the sites.
Yes, through the park. Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. And then as far as campgrounds go, I've got this is of course powered by RV Life Campgrounds, a free resource. We use it all the time here on the show. And so I've just pulled up one. I know you stayed at one. We're going to talk about the one you stayed at, but right now, the highest rated one is one called Jordan Valley Resort, which is in Vinland, Ontario, about 15 miles from the fall. But you also, if you're an Elks member, there's an Elks Lodge there. It got the second best reviews.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny.
HTR Niagara got 9.1 stars. Let's see, Bissell Hideaway got 9.1, and that's on Ontario side. We got 4 Mile Creek State Park, got really good reviews. Niagara Falls KOA Holiday, Niagara Falls, Ontario, got pretty decent reviews. And then Daisy Barn Campground and Niagara Lazy Lake. So there's quite a bit. There's at least, there's 32 in the general vicinity.
So this raises a question for me. So if you are American and going to the Canadian side to camp and have pets with you, I'm assuming you're going to have to make sure that you have them all vaccinated with their records. And okay, good thing to keep in mind, folks.
But here's an interesting thing to note.
Okay.
If you are staying on the American side and you still want to experience, you can walk over the bridge.
Oh, okay.
With your passport. And so one of the main border passing that goes right from downtown to downtown is a walkable bridge, and so you can strike out with your passport, walk across into on the Canadian side. It's called the Rainbow Bridge, and walk back. So you can do it even as a day. You know, you could stay in America if you didn't want to go through, like for the pet example.
Okay, so
you could stay and then just go over for the day.
So where did you guys stay? Did you stay on, because I know you've been a couple times. Have you stayed on both sides?
We've done both.
Okay.
We have done both. We have stayed on the American side and then as well on the Canadian side. This most recent time on the Canadian side, we stayed at a campground called Camp Park.
Okay.
And one of the reasons we chose that and that it ended up working out great for us, it was a very family, there were kids everywhere. It was a very family friendly campground, but it was on that We Go bus system. So it was one of the last stops on the bus system. And so the bus came to the campground. So I'm not sure we ever got in I think we did get in the truck and drive to eat a night or two. But we just jumped right on the bus from the front of the campground, right by the office.
Oh, that's handy. And do you guys travel with pets?
We do not travel with pets. I like to tell people I keep humans alive.
Yeah.
That's my specialty.
We travel with a lot of humans, and so we just don't have room to keep anything else alive.
So do you recall where you stayed on the U.S. side, and was it a good experience?
It was a great experience, and I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. I've actually recommended it to a couple of people, but it's changed names, which is why we may have to pull this back. I may have to send it to you. You can put it in the notes.
Yeah,
but it has changed names, and that's why I should have pulled that up before.
No, that's all right. Just send it to me. We'll put it down in the notes.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have a recommendation. So, and you've got a pretty big fifth wheel, don't you?
We do. We have a 42-foot fifth wheel.
Okay, so there you go. If you got a big rig, you can get into the campground they've been at.
You can.
And then, of course, it looks like there's a couple KOAs in that area.
There's a KOA. There's this HTR Niagara Campground and Resort, which got 4.8 out of 848 reviews on Google. And it looks fancy. It looks nice.
Yep. So a lot of different
And
choices.
I think
So-
one of the things you have to take in consideration when you choose a campground is just how close and accessible. Because
Right.
there are things that are right in town and then all the way out. Like I think you mentioned 15 miles.
Yeah,
So,
15, 14, 15 miles out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And some people prefer to stay out a little bit further, and some people want to be right there in the mix of everything. But so one thing we traditionally do with our guests on there, you've got your own channel out there, and we want to give you a little time to plug your channel for people that might want to follow you and follow what's going on with your family. Can you tell us a little bit about your channel?
Thanks.
And a little bit about yourself too.
Yeah, so we're a family of 6. So my husband and I have 4 daughters. The girls are 17, 15, 13, and 11, and we have been traveling full time for 3 years. And so we formed a nonprofit organization right at 3 years ago, and that kind of drives our schedule and our travel. And so you can find us. The name of our organization is Through the Eyes of Our Tribe. And so you can find us on all social media channels that way, on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. But we're excited. We're kind of just beginning our 2024 travels. We had some medical things that we had to stay close to home for at the beginning of this year with one of our girls. And so she's doing really well. And we're excited to be venturing out and moving again.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think I would want to follow your channel just because you're traveling with 4 teenage girls. Your husband
It's
must
never
be
boring.
a saint.
He's the perfect girl dad. I tell him that all the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
You would have to be. Yes, that is incredible.
He tells people that he just finds the campground bathrooms the bathroom because we just have one bathroom.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Casey, for coming on and talking about Niagara. We've got a couple more in the hopper for you, and so we'll have you back out on the show. We appreciate it. Yeah, no, thank you so much. We're excited that you joined the RVD team too. You're gonna be helping out with the magazine and all that, so we're real excited about that. But thank you so much. And Caly, you want to take us out?
Yeah. So thank you all out there for joining us today and listening about the top 10 things to do at Niagara Falls. Be sure to get out there, rate, review, and subscribe to or follow the RV Destinations podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Audible, or wherever you find your podcast. Don't forget to get out to our website too. Check out all the great information that we have out there on our blog, a lot of great free resources. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the magazine at rvdestinations.com/subscribe. If you use the code podcast20, podcast20 at checkout, you're going to save 20% off any of our subscriptions. I am Caly Beheimer here with Randy Beheimer and Casey Kilgore, and we want to thank you all for listening today.
Safe travels.
Safe travels, y'all.